Hello and welcome back to another Doctor Who figure review. In today's Doctor Who figure review we'll be taking a look at the Warriors of the Deep collector set containing the Silurian Triad of Iktar, Tarpok and Skibbous. This set is so left field. Who would have thought it in 2022 we would get Silurian figures from the Warriors of the Deep? I'm absolutely thrilled to have these figures because the Silurians have been figures what have been missing from our figure collections for quite a long time in terms of classic Silurians. So yeah, very excited. So the way this is going to work is I'm going to do the articulation and detail on the packaging, and of course a comparison of how character options have made these wonderful new monsters. Taking a look at the packaging for the Warriors of the Deep set, we've got the traditional style guide packaging motif, a great window box displaying the Silurian figures there. So if you are a person who keeps your figures in the box, then you can enjoy the figures from the box because they're displayed in multiple angles there, which is really nice for those in-box collectors. We've got the Character Online exclusive little sticker there, the side and image of the figures there, and of course we have a big old bio on Warriors of the Deep there, so do feel free to pause if you want to have a little information about that, the Silurians, and the behind the scenes info and what the set includes. And on the side we have the traditional window box again displaying the figures there so you can see them. As for the card insert, we've got the Silurian submarine. As you can see through the little window you can see the sea base. And if I just remove this, because I don't think anybody else has done this yet, you can see the sea base over a load of sort of computer imagery of the Silurian submarine. It's all, very cool. No little Easter eggs I can notice there. But yeah, you can see a nice little display there. And it makes a nice little diorama for your Silurian figure. So that is a really nice little touch there if you want to display your Silurians in the little submarine. Here we have the Silurian figures, the Silurian Triad. Now this is very exciting. If you know me, the Doctor and the Silurians and the Sea Devils and sort of Warriors of the Deep, the Beneath the Surface box set was one of my favourite things as a kid, and I always longed for a Silurian figure, and to finally have one, though it's the Warriors of the Deep version, it's not the iconic version, but it's a clever move by character to release the less popular version to guarantee sales, because if they did the Silurians from the 1970s, I don't think many people would be as excited to pick these up as we already are. So let's take a look at the articulation for these figures, then we'll do the detail and then a little comparison. Articulation wise for the Silurian figures, I'm just going to do one because the articulation is exactly the same for both of the other two. The head can't really move at all, which is fine because they didn't really move in the show. The arms can do a full 360 degree turn. We have bend at the elbow, 360 at the wrist, the waist can turn but are hindered by the armoured shell there. And of course the legs can kick out and to the side because they're on a T-crotch joint. We have 360 at the thigh, and of course we do have bend at the knee, and the feet do a 360 degree turn. And rather interestingly, the feet do have a little ball joint there. You can see they can pivot ever so slightly down, but it's slightly hindered because the feet are quite clumsome things. But yeah, you can see there is a joint there under the feet, which is a very nice little thing, a little secret bit of articulation for the Silurian figures. Moving on to the detail for the Silurian figures. Now I have to say before we take a closer look that these are incredibly detailed, especially on the head sculpt. The head sculpt is phenomenal. Of course we'll take a closer look at it, but yeah, these Silurians, they're pretty much identical. There's just slight paint variations. Some have sort of a darker wash, and of course one has the lovely light up eye. I guess that's Tarpok because he's the one who does quite a bit of talking in that story. So we'll move Iktar and Skibbous out of the way. So taking a look at the detail for Tarpok. So the head sculpt is phenomenal. I have to say it is amazing. They've really knocked this out of the park, and they've made this Silurian look better as a figure than they actually did in the show. It's amazing. I think that's a real testament to how character options really nail the sort of aliens and creatures of Doctor Who. So if you take a look at the head, we've got the lovely sort of third eye there lit up with the red detail there. Sadly, quality control wise, it's not that good. Mine hasn't been painted fully, but you know what, I can forgive it. It's a Silurian, it's exciting. We've got a lovely sort of bone structure there of the actual head, which is great. And we've got a slight whitewash over there to sort of highlight the sort of scaling detail, which is done very well. If we move to the side, you can see the lovely sort of bone structure there of the actual helmet. And you can see this little mark there, which I guess is sort of where the prop was sort of starting to disintegrate, but you can see the lovely little scaling detail underneath there, which is really nice to give that sort of sense of age for the Silurians, which again, really lovely. If we move to the side, again you can see the tiny little scales there and the sort of fin-like sort of ear, great there. Again, slight whitewash on the sort of chin there to really highlight the scales. And if we move to the back, you really can see that lovely scaling detail on these figures. That's been given a slight black wash, which again really helps accentuate that scaling detail and the texturing of this. And again, we've got a lovely sort of bone structure which carries down to the actual armour of the Silurian itself. Again, lovely sculpt. The eyes are done very nice. You've got this sort of silver, almost gold sort of finish to them, which would give it that nice sort of reptile reflective look to it, which again really nice. We've got a lovely sort of beak-like mouth, and again we've got the black wash underneath the chin there, which really does help accentuate the scaling detail there. If we move down to the torso, we've got the sort of shell or the armour of the Silurian. This has been given a slight whitewash, which I think personally would have benefited a darker wash. I think that would have helped the figure just look a little bit better. Personally, I think a sort of a dark wash, much what's been applied on the arms, but you can see in certain lights the sort of wash what has been applied on this figure there. But yeah, very nice, got a nice sort of texturing detailing there, all very good stuff. And if we move to the back, we've got a lovely sort of spine, sort of bone-like structure, which is great, and you can really see sort of the wash detailing on that, which is done very well. If I can get the camera to focus, there you go. You can see all the lovely sort of different washes what have been applied to that sort of bone-like structure on the back, and of course again you can see that slight sort of wash what have been applied. The arms are done very well, very nice sort of detail on these, which is just fantastic. Again, this uses the Sea Devil arms, but we'll do that in the comparison. But again, sort of a darker sort of brown plastic, and that's been given sort of different washes, which really does highlight and accentuate the detail. You can see sort of the creases of the skin there. And of course we have a slight sort of detail. What hasn't been sort of missed out on this was painted silver on the prototype, but it's not been painted on the actual release, which is a little bit of a shame. And if we move down to the new section of the arm, again we continue that lovely scaling detail what has been applied, which again really nice, slight black wash again to really help accentuate that detail. If we move to the hands, again really nice sort of suckery detail there, which is done very well. Really nice attention to detail on these. And if we move to the other arm, again you can see that slight sort of wash which has been applied, which again really gives that sort of sense of depth and texture. We have the lovely communicator which has been painted in sort of a great sort of grey with a sort of wash over it to really highlight the sculpting detail of the actual communicator band there, which really does give it that lifelike a look. And of course we have the green communicator panel. Sadly, this figure not having bicep articulation, it does make it impossible for the Silurian to actually use the actual communication little band there, which I think is one of the negatives for this figure, sadly, is that it doesn't have the bicep swivel, because you know it kind of needs. It's like the Clockwork Droid figures. I was always annoyed you couldn't pose them as they were seen in the show. And if we move to the other hand, you can see the detailing there. Again, very nice. If we move down to the legs, you can see again very much great paint apps that have been applied. Again, very much the same as the arms. You've got the nice sort of darker washes there, which really highlight the sculpting detail there. Sadly, because this is the Sea Devil legs, you do lose that scaling effect, but thankfully, because of all the washes that have been applied to this figure, it still has that great amount of detail, and you can really see the lovely detail and sort of the texturing what have been done on the sculpt. But moving down to the feet, you can see sort of this lovely sort of free claw look to it, but also sort of a clam-like quality to it. You can see sort of where the foot is there, and this sort of spongy sort of skin is underneath where the sort of scales are. Again, very nice detail. You can see the sort of washes applied to really highlight and accentuate that lovely sculpting detail. I really do love that sort of two textured look to it, which again, really lovely attention to detail. So that is the detail for the Warriors of the Deep Silurian. In order to create these lovely Warriors of the Deep Silurians, we've had to take a look at their cousins, the Sea Devils, as of course the base of this figure is sort of a Sea Devil. The legs are the Sea Devils and the top of the arms. The head is a new sculpt, obviously, because you know this Silurian looks completely different to this Sea Devil. So if we just grab this Sea Devil here, hopefully we can see a little bit of the differences. So if we just move Sea Devil's arm there, so we look at the arm, you can see the sort of creasing detail is exactly the same at the top of the arm as on the Warriors of the Deep Silurian there. And of course we move to the legs, you can see the differences there quite a lot, but you can see that they have adapted the Sea Devil legs to accommodate the new sort of Silurian pieces. So we've got a new lower arm there and hands, which did look very sort of Zygon-esque, but they are new hands, and of course new feet to make these lovely new figures. Now, just for a little bit of fun, just for a little fun comparison, I thought I'd add this, the Dapal Warriors of the Deep Silurian. You can see how far we have come in terms of Doctor Who action figures, and it's no surprise that Dapal did the same tricks character options are doing, reusing parts. As you can see, the 1970s Silurian is pretty much the Warriors of the Deep one. As you can see, different head, but the legs and arms are exactly the same. So that is the little Dapal Silurian comparison, I guess. What are my overall thoughts on the Warriors of the Deep character options online exclusive? Well, I love it. I think that this is a wonderful set. I think that this is a great reuse of the Sea Devil. Granted, a sacrifice has had to be made and us lose the scaling detail on the legs, but you know what? It's a sacrifice worth paying to get classic Silurians, because they've been sort of a main monster, what has been missing from our figure shelves. Granted, it's not the Silurians we all hope for, but I'm happy to take them, because I really think that these Silurian designs have translated incredibly well into figure form, and they look way better than they did in the show, and they're just very meme-worthy. They just look very sort of funny little derpy Silurians, you know. Hello, I'm a Silurian. It's all great. I love them. I think that this is a wonderful set, a nice little way of getting these figures of Silurian Triad. Granted, I would have loved to have seen a Sea Devil within this figure pack, but I get why we've got these 3 figures, and for 30 quid, I think this is an absolute bargain. It's £10 more than a B&M set, and if this is one way of character to give us new monsters, and by charging a little bit extra so we get like a 3-pack or a 2-pack of one monster, and that makes it viable for character options to do, then I'm all for it, because I think that the monsters are where character options really excel themselves and prove that they are some of the best figure makers. I think that these figures are very well constructed, they are very well done, the detail is excellent. I think the sculpting work is amazing. There are a few little criticisms I have with it. Granted, you know, one of them being the bicep joint. I think that's a real shame for it. I know that it's sort of reusing the Sea Devil arm, but I think that having that sort of communicator in the Silurian not being able to press it is a little bit of a shame, and I think that one of the minor criticisms, I think that is a big criticism for it, for me personally, but I think a minor criticism is sort of a darker wash on the shell, on the armour. But other than that, I think that this is a really nice set. I really do like it. It's just very surreal looking at it going, wow, we have classic Silurians, and I'm sure we probably will see the Warriors of the Deep Sea Devil at some point. Maybe that can be a future online set, but for now, we have the Warriors of the Deep Silurians. So yes, thank you very much for watching this Doctor Who figure review. If you've enjoyed this video, then please do like and subscribe for plenty more Doctor Who figure related content on the channel. And I'll see you very soon for more Doctor Who related content, whatever that will be. So thank you very much for watching, and yeah, I'm off to enjoy some more Silurian. So yes, thank you very much, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.